You drift here, at the very beginning, where silence holds its breath and emptiness hums with secrets not yet spoken. There is no up or down, no light to touch your eyelids, no sound to rest your ear upon, only a stillness so complete that it feels like forever. In this blankness, you sense a tension, like a gentle stretch in a fabric not yet woven. A promise that what is empty may not stay so for long. You float within this promise. You are smaller than any thought you have ever had, yet as vast as all the dreams that might bloom from it. Here there is no edge, no wall, no border to press against, only potential waiting in the hush. Tiny fluctuations flicker like soft sparks in the dark sea. Quantum seeds, they say, bits of maybe, of might, of could be drifting in a sea of what is not yet. You breathe in this quiet possibility. If you could see it, you might see pairs of particles flicker into existence, for the briefest whisper of time, before they vanish back into the hush. Virtual particles, some call them ghosts, that tease reality with the idea of matter. They appear in pairs, opposite and balanced, so the nothingness remains whole. Yet these fleeting ripples will someday sculpt the shape of all that will ever be. You drift deeper. Time itself does not yet know how to tick. There is no clock to measure these flickers, no ruler to stretch across the void. Yet from this uncertainty, this restless jitter at the heart of the empty, comes a push, a swell, an inflation of what once held no breath. The universe expands in a soft exhale you cannot hear, but can almost feel inside your bones. You float at the dawn of this expansion, where the vacuum blossoms into space. What was once smaller than an atom's whisper swells beyond imagining in a heartbeat. The quantum seeds grow into fields of energy, stretching the blankness into something that can hold galaxies, stars, planets, and you. All of it still so young, so simple, so impossibly hot, a broth of particles colliding, merging, parting. You drift through this broth. It shimmers like the sun seen through closed eyelids. It is dense, crowded, full of collisions. In this first moment, the forces that will shape everything are born. Gravity, that patient weaver, begins to tug. The strong and weak forces whisper among particles, deciding how they will bind or break apart. The electromagnetic dance hums its first gentle notes. Laws are written, not in ink, but in patterns of energy and the hush of balance. Yet the universe does not know it is a universe. It does not yet have galaxies or stars. It has only light trapped in the crowd, bouncing endlessly from one newborn particle to another. You drift among these photons, ancient yet unborn, caught until the future cools enough to set them free. This light will become the cosmic background, an echo of a time when the universe was an infant, wrapped in heat. You feel the heat now, not as burning, but as a low, warm hum that soothes you deeper into the story. You are both inside it and far beyond it. You are the particles and the space between them. You are the field that knows no name, yet dark energy, perhaps, resting here in its cradle, a gentle push that will someday stretch the stars apart. Again, you drift past the seconds and minutes that have no name. As space expands, the flickers spread out. Tiny ripples in the broth will one day gather to become the seeds of galaxies, slight wrinkles where gravity will gather matter, like flour sprinkled on water. These small, chance wrinkles are the map for everything that will be. Clusters of stars, vast voids, a place for you to stand and wonder. Somewhere ahead, matter will cool and settle. Quarks will find each other, binding into protons and neutrons. Sturdy bricks for atoms to come. Electrons, restless and small, will circle them in patient orbits. Hydrogen, the first child of this union, will be born in abundance. It will wait in darkness for the spark of the first star to light it. You drift through this waiting. The universe, still so young, grows quieter as it expands. The heat softens, the collisions calm. The first moments of chaos give way to calm simplicity. All the while, the fabric of space stretches further, a loom weaving emptiness, into something that can hold suns and stories and questions that lead you deeper. You feel your breath mirror this expansion, a slow rise, a gentle fall. You are cradled by this vastness that was once nothing. You feel the truth that even emptiness can bloom, that the quiet holds the pattern for everything you see when you open your eyes in daylight, that you are stitched into this fabric, made of the same particles that flickered into being when the universe was a whisper. You rest in this thought. Where there was nothing, there is now something. Where there was silence, there is now a hum that never fully fades. And even now, billions of years later, this expansion continues, carrying galaxies away from each other like drifting seeds on an endless breeze. Somewhere out there, the threads that hold the stars apart still pull gently, shaping the web that keeps the cosmos together. You will drift toward those threads next, following the quiet filaments that stretch across the dark, binding all that is something to all that was once nothing at all. You drift now into the spaces that stretch between everything you know. This is where the stars rest in their quiet nests, far apart yet softly linked by something your eyes cannot touch. You feel it more than see it, an unseen web spun from what some call dark matter, holding the galaxies in their gentle cradles, so they do not drift too far into emptiness. You float deeper, weaving yourself into this web. Imagine strands of silk spun across unimaginable distances, each thread tugging ever so slightly at clusters of stars and clouds of gas. These strands do not shine like starlight. They do not flicker like a candle in the dark. They are a hush. Beneath the brightness, a soft pull that shapes the grand pattern of the cosmos. Your mind drifts across the vast cosmic web, a structure so large that it cradles every cluster, every supercluster, every tiny swirl of stars that might cradle life like yours. In these threads, dark matter whispers. Though it does not glow or reflect, it holds weight, an invisible mass that gravity recognizes. And you feel that pull now as a quiet anchor at your core. Scientists give it a name, dark matter, but it is only a name for something we cannot hold. It neither shines nor absorbs the light you see. It leaves no mark on a telescope's mirror, yet its presence is known by the way galaxies spin. Without this hidden mass, the stars would fly apart like petals scattered in a strong wind. But here the petals cling gently to the branch. The unseen keeps them close. You drift through a galaxy, spiraling in your mind alongside countless stars. Each one is moving faster than it should, as if dancing to a hidden rhythm that ordinary matter cannot explain. You sense the extra gravity wrapping these stars in place, like a mother's arm around a restless child. The galaxy holds together, because something unseen insists it must dot. Between the galaxies, the threads grow thin, yet they stretch on and on. If you could step far enough back, far beyond the Milky Way, beyond the clouds of other spirals and ellipticals, you would see a delicate lacework spanning the cosmos. Filaments where galaxies gather, nodes where clusters bloom bright like fireflies, voids in between like pockets of night within night. These threads are ancient, spun from tiny ripples that first stirred in the broth you drifted through moments ago. Back when the universe was only light and particles, faint wrinkles in density whispered where gravity would someday pull more strongly. Over billions of years, these wrinkles deepened. Gravity gathered matter like a hand scooping flour into lines. Gas flowed along these filaments, cooling and clumping to make the first stars, then the first galaxies. Now your thoughts wander along these ancient highways. Through them, gas still travels, feeding galaxies so they may keep birthing new stars. The web is alive with slow, drifting rivers of hydrogen. Some streams feed enormous clusters, others drift toward lonely galaxies at the edges of emptiness. All of it tied together by the soft insistence of gravity. Inside your mind's eye, you see dark matter not as an absence, but as a soft skeleton. It shapes the bright flesh of galaxies and clusters. It keeps the stars in their spiral arms, the clusters bound together. Its touch is everywhere, yet it passes through you without notice. Billions of particles drift through your body every second, like gentle ghosts who leave no trace but out here in the vastness. Their pull is unmistakable. You let yourself feel the humility of this truth. So much of what keeps the universe in balance is hidden, quiet, and unseen. A reminder that what is invisible can be just as real as what glows, perhaps even more constant. Light fades and flickers. Gravity holds on, faithful and patient. This dark web hums with that patience. You drift toward a place where filaments meet, a node where galaxies huddle together, drawn by gravity's persistent tug. These massive clusters are bright cities of stars, yet they too are cradled in a haze of dark matter, invisible halos that reach far beyond the visible light. Without these halos, the clusters would loosen, their bright cities drifting apart into the night. Your breath matches this gentle binding, an inhale, a quiet exhale. You feel your own cells holding together because gravity weaves even the smallest worlds. The same force that keeps your feet on the ground shapes the largest threads in the universe. Tiny and vast, the same law whispers across every scale. As you drift, you wonder what dark matter truly is, particles yet undiscovered, or something stranger still. Some think of weakly interacting particles, WIMPs, they say, drifting through the earth unnoticed. Others dream of ixions, lighter than light, humming in fields we have yet to touch. No matter its name, its role is clear. The threads must hold, so the stars may stay dot in this soft dark. You rest inside the trust that not every mystery needs to be solved tonight. Some threads are meant to be wondered at, not unraveled too. Quickly, you feel the comfort of an unfinished story, a puzzle piece that holds the rest in place until the whole picture slowly appears. You are a quiet witness to these threads, proof that what they cradle can wake, breathe, and wonder. You are stitched into this web as surely as the stars are. Your atoms once carried along these filaments as drifting clouds of gas, waiting for gravity's tug to gather them into flesh and thought. As you float here, the spaces between the stars do not feel so empty. They feel softly woven, held by strands spun from shadows. Somewhere ahead, these threads twist and gather again, where gravity's gentle pull can bend more than just matter, where the shape of space itself ripples like a sleeping pond touched by a falling leaf. You drift now into a hush deeper than any silence you have ever known. Here, in the blackness between stars, you listen not with your ears, but with your imagination pressed gently to the fabric of space itself. This fabric is not stiff or still. It breathes, stretches, and sighs like the surface of a calm sea. Under moonlight, you rest upon it, feeling its softness ripple beneath you, far from you, in a corner of the universe where light cannot linger long. Two massive hearts, black holes, circle each other in a dance older than memory. They spiral closer, tugging at the threads that weave all space together. Each turn they make bends the fabric, sending out ripples that travel at the speed of light. Though they move so quietly that the stars themselves do not notice, yet you notice. You feel these ripples under you like the gentle rocking of a boat, drifting on a night tide. They are called gravitational waves, the breath of colliding giants, the whispers of massive things that speak not with sound, but with the shape of space itself. When they pass through you, they do not push or pull in ways your body can feel, but they stretch and squeeze the distances between atoms, ever so slightly, as if the universe were sighing in its sleep. You float deeper into this drifting hush. Imagine the vast ocean of space-time as a pond, still and glassy, until a stone drops. The stone is not stone, but the collision of stars, the merging of black holes, the collapse of massive hearts into singularities too dense for light to escape. And from that moment of impact, a wave spreads outward, a memory of the event carried far beyond the place where it happened. You ride one of these waves now. It passes through galaxies, through clusters of galaxies, across the great voids. Between it touches clouds of gas, silent planets, drifting dust. It travels for billions of years without slowing, without losing its story. When it reaches Earth, it makes the ground shift by less than the width of a single atom. Yet in that small shift, a whole history is told. Scientists build instruments so sensitive they can listen to these waves. LIGO, Virgo, observatories that use laser light to catch the faint stretch and squeeze. They listen for the quiet quake of space-time, for the moment when two black holes merge, or a pair of neutron stars collide and sprinkle the universe with gold. You imagine these machines like giant tuning forks pressed against the fabric of reality, waiting for the softest hum. Gravitational waves are proof that space is not empty but alive, flexible, able to carry stories without words. They remind you that even what feels solid, the distance between you and the moon, the length of your outstretched hand, is not fixed forever. All of it can ripple, all of it can breathe. You are not standing on a stiff floor, but on a sea that moves. So slowly, you rarely feel it move at all. You drift beside these colliding black holes now. You do not fear them, for you are weightless thought here, watching as they spiral closer. Their dance is patient but unstoppable. Gravity pulls them inward, tighter and tighter, until the final moment when they merge. In that heartbeat of collision, they become one, a new black hole larger than before, wrapped in darkness so complete that not even the wave it creates can be seen, only felt in the fabric that holds it all. You watch the ripples spread out, gentle but vast. This wave will pass through distant worlds, long after you drift to sleep. It will keep moving, a memory of that dance, a reminder that space holds. The echoes of every massive step taken by the universe's largest hearts. You breathe with this thought. Your own heart makes waves too, not through space-time, but through your body, a softer ocean of cells and warmth. Each beat a reminder that you are stitched to this universe, that you are made of particles that feel gravity's pull, that you belong to the same fabric that bends when stars collide. If you could stand in the hush of deep space, you would not hear these waves with your ears. They are not sound, they are not light. They are the slow flex of existence itself, the way reality remembers what happens within it. Each passing wave tells us that nothing happens alone. Every event, every movement leaves a trace, a ripple that drifts outward into the quiet. You rest in this idea that the universe holds memory not just in light, but in the very shape of space. That when you look at the stars, you see the past carried by photons. And when you listen for gravitational waves, you feel the past carried by the flex of the cosmos. Two ways of knowing the same story. The story that nothing is too small to matter, that even the faintest wave can cross an endless sea. And you, drifting here, are part of this story too. The same gravity that spins galaxies pulls at you, keeps your feet on the ground, your body anchored to Earth's warmth. You are not apart from these ripples. You ride them even when you do not know. You are rocked by them, cradled in a universe that keeps time with waves and light and the quiet bend of space. You close your eyes, somewhere, another pair of black holes spirals closer. Somewhere, another star collapses into a heartbeat of waves. Somewhere, the fabric flexes, carrying secrets far across the dark. You drift with them, rocked by the hush, the soft sea of space-time beneath you. You drift now into the hush where light travels and the world seems simple. You imagine a beam stretching endlessly ahead, thin and true, the shortest distance. Between 2 points, they taught you once. But here, in the quiet curve of the universe, you learn that even the straightest lines can bend without breaking. You follow a single ray of starlight, slipping through the dark, weaving secrets into its path. This beam leaves the burning heart of a distant star. For a moment, it shines outward without care. It believes itself to be straight, certain it will travel undisturbed across the vacuum's endless plains. But space is not empty, and still it dips and swells, shaped by the pull of things too heavy to ignore. Gravity does not just tug on planets and moons. It reaches for light too, cradling it with invisible hands. You drift beside the beam as it brushes past a massive giant, a star so dense its pull bends. The space around it, like a soft blanket gathered in careful fingers. The light does not shatter or stop. It yields, it leans into the bend, curving gently, following the shape of space itself. This is gravitational lensing, a name for how gravity bends the path of light, sculpting illusions in the sky. Through this bending, you see more than the eye expects. A single star may appear twice or 4 times, its light split by the curve of an invisible giant between you and it. Sometimes a distant galaxy forms a perfect ring, an Einstein ring. They call it a halo of light caught by the gravity of a cluster that bends the beam just so. What you see is not where the light began, but where space allows you to find it. You drift around this illusion. You understand now that light does not resist gravity's touch. It has no mass, yet it carries energy, and that is enough for the fabric of space to fold around it. The heavier the object, the deeper the fold. A black hole bends light so much that not even the beam can escape if it crosses the point of no return. The event horizon, a boundary drawn in silence. Yet not all bends are so final. Most are gentle, like the curve of wind around a hill. The starlight bends and keeps going, carrying the message of the star to your waiting eyes. Every twinkle you see is a letter written by gravity's hand. Sometimes the message is a lie, an image of a star that sits behind another, hidden, but revealed by the bend. The universe plays tricks of perspective with your gaze. You drift deeper into this idea. You stand on Earth and look up, thinking you see the stars where they truly are. But the sky you trust is stitched with illusions. The sun, too, bends light. As it dips below the horizon, its rays bend through the blanket of Earth's air, letting you see it for a moment longer than it truly stands above the sea. The atmosphere itself becomes a lens, curving the sunset into a softer goodbye. In this bending, you find beauty and gentle deceit. You learn that straightness is not always so. Even your steps on Earth curve softly through the fabric beneath your feet. Gravity does not hold you down by pulling you straight to the ground. It folds space so you follow the curve naturally, believing it flat because your feet feel steady and sure. Einstein showed the world this shape-shifting weave. His theory of general relativity revealed that mass tells space how to bend, and space tells matter how to move. So you, and the stars above, and the drifting starlight all follow lines that feel straight, but are woven through a curved loom. You drift through this loom now. Imagine walking across a sphere so large it feels flat. Beneath your toes, you think you walk straight ahead forever, but if you could walk long enough, you would find your path curving back to where you began. Space, too, may wrap in ways your senses cannot hold. Some wonder if the entire universe bends into itself, a shape so vast its curvature escapes your reach, yet wraps every star in a gentle arc. You breathe in this thought. Straight lines become gentle bows, pathways drawn by invisible sculptors. You trust them to guide you even when you cannot see the bend. Light, too, trusts the fabric. It does not resist. It flows where the curve invites, revealing hidden giants. By the way it arcs around them, astronomers listen for these bends. They find unseen galaxies by watching how they warp the light of more distant stars. They map dark matter's quiet weight by tracing the distortions it leaves behind. Through these illusions, the invisible becomes almost visible, not by shining, but by shaping what does you rest in this gentle trickery. You realize that your own life holds bends. You cannot see paths that curve without warning, leading you back to places you thought you'd left behind. Straight lines feel certain, but curves are softer, patient, forgiving. They bring you home by a route you could not have drawn for yourself. You follow the beam of light a little longer. It has traveled for millions of years to reach you. It bends again and again, shaped by hidden giants and drifting clouds, until at last it lands softly in your eye. There, it becomes a thought, a wonder, a question that opens like a quiet flower in your mind. What other shapes might the universe hold? If light can bend, if space can fold, then what rests beneath your feet may ripple too. Gravity's gentle. Pull holds the ground steady, yet beneath it, plates drift like slow rivers of stone, shaping the mountains, shifting the seas, reminding you that what feels solid also moves in patient bends. You stand now with your feet pressed gently to the ground, feeling its steady weight hold you in place. It feels solid, patient, a surface so certain that you trust it without thinking. Yet beneath your soles, a hush drifts through stone and soil, a slow murmur of restless countenance that dream of drifting. What feels still is always moving, reshaping itself in silence while you sleep. You close your eyes and let your mind sink deeper, slipping past roots and rivers hidden underground. Beneath the soft cover of soil, layers of rock stacked like pages of an ancient book. Each layer holds a story older than any memory you carry, a story of heat and pressure, of oceans that rose and fell, of forests that turned to stone under the patient hand of time. Deep below, you find the crust, Earth's thin skin, cracked and mended by forces older than mountains. This crust is not one unbroken shell, but a puzzle of giant plates, drifting slowly on currents of warm rock. You breathe in this thought, that the ground you trust is not anchored but afloat, moving an inch here, a fingertip there, every year, carving a new path across the planet's face. You drift along these plates now. They slide past one another, bumping edges like drifting rafts on a gentle sea. Sometimes they collide head-on, pressing rocks skyward to build mountains that scrape the cold breath of clouds. The Himalayas, the Andes, ridges born from patient collisions, growing grain by grain, stone by stone by plates, pull apart, new ground rises from the deep. Molten rock, thick and glowing, wells up through the crack, cools against the sea's chill, and becomes fresh crust. You drift along a mid-ocean ridge now, a seam in the ocean's floor where the earth renews itself in quiet fire. From here, continents drift apart, carried on a conveyor that never stops, only slows, and sometimes, beneath you, one plate dives under another, slipping back into Earth's deeper mantle. Rock melts into magma, feeding volcanoes that stand like restless candles on the crust's skin. These mountains breathe fire and ash, shaping landscapes and weathering stories into every stone they cast. You imagine continents drifting like sleepy giants, North America drifting westward, Africa slowly splitting at its seams, the ocean between them widening drop by drop. It is easy to forget this movement when you stand in one place. But your feet rest on a journey that began before your ancestors spoke their first words, before the ground you know was ever named. You drift deeper into the mantle now, a region not quite liquid, not quite stone, a slow-flowing river of rock, under crushing pressure and ancient heat. Here, convection currents rise and fall like breath beneath a blanket. These currents push and pull the crust above, guiding the drifting plates on their long wanderings. Even the continents are passengers on this warm tide. Within this hush, mountains do not stand still either. They rise and wear away in a cycle as old as Earth itself. Rain and wind carve peaks into valleys. Rivers carry stone to the sea, and the sea buries it in layers once more. The tallest mountains today were once plains. The deepest trenches at the ocean floor hold crust that was once dry land under open sky. And in this shifting dance, earthquakes tremble where plates lock and slip. The ground beneath your feet, so solid now, can shake and sigh without warning, releasing energy stored for centuries in one sudden exhale. It is not anger, only adjustment, Earth's quiet way of remembering that nothing fixed stays fixed forever. You rest in this idea, that the ground you stand on is part of a planet that never sleeps. From the drifting plates to the shifting mantle, from molten core to mountain peaks, all of it moves in slow conversation with time. Even the continents that cradle cities, forests, and dreams are momentary arrangements, destined to break and drift again in the far-off hush of deep time. You imagine your own steps woven into this slow drift. The atoms in your bones come from rocks that rose from the mantle, that once drifted under oceans or climbed into mountain air. When you breathe, you share molecules with volcanic ash that once rose from deep below. When you drink, you sip water that may have touched rock a mile beneath your feet. Earth's story is not separate from yours. You are part of this restless ground, a brief moment on its long path, a single breath of warmth drifting between stones. And this ground, in turn, is part of something larger, its mass held steady by gravity's pull, its spinning dance tied to the moon's patient tug, its orbit wrapped gently in the sun's warm embrace, all of it from drifting countenance. Two trembling fault lines is stitched into the wider fabric of space. Earth's pull holds you steady, yet it too drifts through the quiet darkness, drawn onward by invisible threads that tie your ground to the stars. You stand on shifting plates that float on a planet that sails around the sun, which drifts through the Milky Way's spiraled arms, all of it woven into a fabric that reaches beyond your sight. You breathe with this truth, that every stone you stand on is part of something so much bigger than its quiet weight under your feet. Beneath you, plates drift like dreams. Above you, stars burn and bend light. Around you, invisible threads keep it all from drifting apart. And just as the ground sighs and slides in slow, patient drifts, space itself holds secrets that slip and fold, tunneling through the weave, in ways your eyes can barely imagine. In the hush between distant suns, you drift on a current of thought that curves around the edge of what is known. The universe spreads wide, impossibly wide, yet here, in the cradle of your mind, you wonder if it could be folded, like a letter pressed between warm hands. You close your eyes and picture a sheet of paper, vast and white, stretched from one star to another. If you bend it, bring two distant points together. What once needed light years to cross now asks only a single, silent step. This is the promise. Hidden in the idea of wormholes, tunnels that slip through the illusion of distance. They are secrets whispered by the equations that describe space-time, hints that our reality may be more pliable than it appears under the steady light of reason. Your body drifts through this possibility, weightless in the dark, feeling how strange it is that emptiness can hide such clever doors. A wormhole, the physicists say, is a bridge, a throat connecting to mouths carved into the fabric of space-time. One mouth might open near your home star, the other far beyond the spiral arms where ancient light forgets your name. You imagine peering into one of these mouths, a hole that does not devour but invites, that does not promise doom but offers passage, if only you could step through without falling apart. Your mind wanders to how this might feel. You picture stepping to the edge of this tunnel, the boundary shimmering like water's surface under moonlight. You reach out, your hand should vanish into a place that is not here nor there, but both at once. And on the other side, a garden of unfamiliar stars might bloom, their light untouched by the slow crawl of time. You know so well wormholes are born from the same fabric that black holes twist and bend. Yet unlike black holes, they might not end in darkness. They might open like secret pathways in a maze, shortcuts drawn by the universe's hidden hand. But there is a catch. There is always a catch. Nature is careful with her doors. The equations say these tunnels are unstable, delicate like soap bubbles drifting through a storm. Any traveler trying to pass through might find the tunnel collapsing faster than they can cross. So the minds that dream of wormholes also dream of ways to keep them open. They whisper of exotic matter, a strange, hypothetical substance that pushes outward, defying gravity's pull. If such a thing could line the walls of a wormhole, perhaps it would prop the tunnel open long enough for you to step inside. You imagine this matter like invisible scaffolding, holding reality apart so you can slip between the folds unharmed. The thought brings a hush to your breathing. You sense how bold this dream is, how it dances at the edge of what you can know. There is no laboratory where wormholes sleep in glass jars, waiting to be studied. They remain equations on blackboards, metaphors for what might be, shadows of possibilities that shimmer just out of reach. Yet the idea endures, because the universe leaves doors ajar in the corners of your mind. Some wonder if wormholes could explain the strange entanglements that tie distant particles together, that hidden shortcut beneath the fabric that lets one side know the other without crossing the space between. Others imagine starships curling through these tunnels, slipping through the dark like silver seeds riding a cosmic breeze. You drift deeper into the thought, feeling the slow pulse of the universe beneath you, as if space-time itself breathes in tides too vast for human clocks to hold. Your mind sketches a simple vision. Two distant places, far apart as your eyes can fathom, brought together by an invisible throat. You stand at the mouth of the tunnel. On the other side, perhaps another you stands waiting, a reflection caught in a mirror of bent space. You step forward, and in less than a heartbeat, the galaxy shrinks behind you, replaced by a new sky, new constellations pricking the dark, with questions you have never asked before. Yet even now, there is caution in your dream. A wormhole's walls must withstand the pull of reality itself. They must defy collapse, resist the hungry teeth of gravity that would snap the tunnel shut. To keep the passage open demands something the universe rarely offers, a kind of negative energy that pushes back where gravity would pull. Exotic matter, ghostly and hypothetical, becomes the guardian of this fragile dream. You drift among these thoughts, like a feather turning on a quiet breeze. You feel the weight of possibility, balanced by the lightness of wonder. No one knows if wormholes sleep among the stars, or if they belong only to the language of theory. But here, tonight, they are real enough to cradle your thoughts in the cradle of their gentle promise. Perhaps, far from your sun, tunnels flicker open and closed like fireflies beneath a forest canopy, unseen yet alive in the deep dark. Or perhaps, the very act of thinking them into story keeps them alive, possibility fed by imagination, until some distant tomorrow bends the laws we know. For now, you drift with this thought tucked close to your chest, a secret folded into your breathing. The universe is vast, its distances fierce and wide. Yet here, in this hush, you dare to believe that shortcuts might exist, not as cheats, but as invitations to see the hidden corners of everything you love. In the dark between the stars, you imagine tracing these tunnels with gentle fingers, mapping out secret paths that join one endless horizon to another. The paper of reality folds and unfolds in your mind's quiet hands. You sense how thin the line can be between impossible and possible, how dreams lean against equations, waiting for courage to bridge the gap. If such tunnels wait in the dark, they hold not just escape from distance, but a promise that even the farthest reaches of the cosmos might be touched by your small, curious heart. You breathe slow and deep, feeling the way your mind slips through these illusions, tunneling under the known to reach something more. You are not crossing galaxies tonight, yet in your thoughts you step lightly through secret doorways. Behind your closed eyes, the universe rearranges itself, folding and unfolding, one hidden tunnel at a time. Time, you once believed, is steady. A quiet river flowing in one direction, its surface smooth and predictable under the hush of your waking hours. But tonight, in the soft dark that holds your drifting thoughts, you sense how easily that river twists when gravity stirs its bed. You lie still, your breath rising and falling as you drift closer to a sleeping giant whose presence bends not just the light, but the very ticking of your inner clock. Imagine a star once fierce with fusion, now collapsed inward to a weight so heavy it presses the fabric of reality into a deep, invisible well. This is a black hole, a place where gravity gathers everything close and time itself surrenders its usual pace. Near its edge, seconds stretch like warm taffy pulled between patient fingers. The closer you drift, the slower your moments grow, each heartbeat separated by an ocean of waiting. You picture yourself orbiting this giant in a quiet ship, your eyes fixed on a distant star far from this heavy pull. To that star, time remains as you know it, even and familiar, but for you, the minutes dilate, unfurling into hours that spill softly past your skin. Your watch still ticks, but to a faraway observer, you seem caught in a slow-motion dance, trapped between what was and what will be. Einstein's gentle whisper curls through your thoughts now, the truth that time and space are threads of the same cloth, woven so tightly that gravity can tug at one and stretch the other. You feel this idea like a lullaby, wrapping your mind in its patient wisdom. Massive things pull on space-time, and space-time answers by bending paths and bending hours to dot in this hush. You imagine the feeling of standing on Earth, your feet pressed gently to its blue cradle. Our planet, small beside the giants, still bends time ever so slightly. The clocks on a mountain top run faster than the clocks in the deep valleys. Your own aging dances to gravity's subtle choreography, every cell obeying a tempo set by mass and distance. Though you cannot sense it with bare skin, you drift through these stretched seconds every day. Tonight, though, you let your mind drift further out, far enough that time becomes a visible ribbon. You hover at the edge of a black hole's event horizon, that silent rim beyond which not even light can return. From this vantage, your moments drip like honey, sweet and unhurried. To someone watching from a safe distance, your entire life might freeze, caught on the cusp of now, forever suspended as your seconds refuse to fall forward. Yet to you, inside your own gentle gravity well, time feels unchanged. Your heartbeat is yours alone, steady and calm, proof that your inner rhythm persists while the universe outside drifts on at its brisk pace. The paradox comforts you that time is not one single song but a chorus, each note slowed or quickened by the mass that cradles it. You think of the satellites circling Earth, tiny machines that must adjust their clocks to match this dance of time and gravity. Without these careful corrections, your maps would falter, your signals drift, your sense of place slip from your hands. Time's pliable nature shapes your daily life in quiet ways you rarely see but always trust. Even in your pocket, your phone listens to time stretched and shrunk by the sky. The softness of this truth settles over you like a blanket. You are not outside the universe's strange mercy, you are part of it. Your own moments swayed by mountains, by valleys, by the restless heartbeat of the planet beneath you. The bigger the mass, the slower the dance. Time is not the tyrant you once imagined, but a partner, pliant and curious, stretching and folding as you drift deeper into its secrets. You wonder what it might feel like to live close to a sleeping giant forever, your years stretched thin and gentle. 1,000 distant stories could unfold while you float in your drawn-out seconds, your aging slowed to a whisper. Would you feel more alive, knowing your minutes linger longer? Or would the hush become too deep, too wide, for a heart made to beat in human time? Yet here, in this quiet bed of thought, the question drifts without needing an answer. It is enough to know that time bows to gravity's hush, that your heartbeat is a thread woven through a fabric so patient it can cradle entire galaxies in its fold. You feel small and vast at once, suspended in a moment that stretches just for you. Einstein's secrets do not feel like cold equations now. They become a soft language, a promise that even time, that relentless river, is not immune to wonder. You lie still, listening to this truth slip through your thoughts like water. Through your fingers, you feel the weight of it, gentle and reassuring. The universe will not rush you. Near the right giant, your seconds will linger, draping themselves across your skin like silk. You picture an astronaut, curled close to a black hole's edge, peering out at the universe that spins on, unaware that for them, time drips slower than any clock can hold. Generations pass in the distance while their heartbeat drifts in stretched out quiet. You see this figure as a ghost of possibility, a reminder that distance is not the only measure of separation sometimes. Time itself becomes the deepest gulf, and so you drift through these thoughts, your mind a quiet satellite circling the edge of what is known. Time bends softly here, refusing to be caged or commanded. You breathe, aware that every exhale falls into a world where seconds are not equal, where clocks are not kings but servants to a deeper rhythm in this hush. You feel your own seconds grow tender and loose, pulled like taffy by the invisible weight of questions too big for sleep to hold. And as you drift further, you wonder if time's softness might reveal yet another hidden door, a clue that leads you beyond this stretch of seconds to the shimmering mystery of what lies behind. The next veil, you lie still, eyes closed, breathing slow as your mind drifts to the farthest place it can reach. Out there, beyond the swirl of your familiar sky, you imagine finding the universe's edge, the place where all things end, where there is nothing more to see, no more stars to count, no more darkness to hold your quiet thoughts. You drift toward this imagined boundary, letting your breath carry you like a leaf on a wide, unhurried tide. Yet when you arrive, there is nothing like a wall, no fence of starlight, no rim of cold stone. The universe offers you no door to knock upon, no border to press your palm against. Instead, space stretches on, soft and seamless, curving gently like the horizon you see when you stand on a lonely hill at dusk. You walk toward that horizon, yet it slips away with every step, always ahead, never closer. It comforts you, this endlessness. It hushes the restless corners of your mind that hunger for edges and endings. You breathe deeper, sensing how the universe curves like a vast quilt wrapped around itself, a fabric with no seams you can touch. Scientists once thought they might find a boundary, a place where stars stop and a blank nothing begins. But the more they looked, the more the sky answered with echoes that bent back upon themselves. Einstein's thoughts return here, as they so often do. He imagines space as pliable, capable of bending back, wrapping itself like the surface of a sphere, not a ball you could hold in your hand, but something bigger, an idea so wide your mind must unfold slowly to hold it. If you could fly forever in a single straight line, never turning your ship's nose even once, you would find yourself looping back to where you began, not because there is a wall to bounce off, but because space itself folds you homeward. You, picture this now, you in a quiet vessel, drifting far from your sun. You keep your course steady, your path unwavering. Stars slip by like grains of silver sand, galaxies drift past like distant lanterns, flickering on an endless ocean. Ages pass. Still, you find no end, only more soft dark, stitched with new lights. And then one night, you see a familiar star, blinking gently ahead. Your own sun, waiting where you started. The universe laughs without sound. It shows you that edges are not always lines, but loops, that boundaries can be gentle curves that turn your steps back toward your own footprints. It asks you to trust that infinity does not need walls to exist. It simply is wide, soft, patient enough to hold everything you can imagine and everything you cannot. Some say the universe could be flat, stretching outward without a fold forever. A sheet with no wrinkles, no curves to carry you home. Others think it may bend in ways your eyes cannot easily see, that space and time together might be a sphere or a saddle, or some hidden shape waiting behind the night sky. You breathe in these possibilities, feeling how each one rocks you deeper, into a calm where questions drift like leaves on a pond. You wonder if this soft boundlessness has a shape your heart might understand better than your mind. Perhaps it is like standing in a fog at dawn. You see no walls, only the gentle hush of mist holding you close. Or perhaps it is like the ocean, where the water cradles you but offers no edge for your feet to touch. Even when you swim toward the horizon, the sea gives you only more water, more sky, more drifting wonder. You drift through the thought that the universe is expanding. It grows, not into empty space, but by making space itself. Galaxies drift apart like glitter sprinkled across an ever-widening sheet. There is no outside for this sheet to spread into. The growing happens within. Between the stars, between your deepest breaths, you picture it, an ancient balloon inflating, its surface stretching larger and larger, carrying every galaxy with it. Yet the inside and outside are the same. There is no rim, only the stretch. The cosmic microwave background whispers here too, a soft echo from the universe's first light. It hums in every direction, a quiet reminder that no matter where you look, you are not near the edge but floating in the middle of something that has no sides. This ancient light, older than any mountain or bone, wraps around you like a blanket, stitched by the birth of time itself. In this hush, you sense how deeply you are held. There is no fear of falling off the edge because there is no place to fall from. You are cradled in an expanse so wide that it circles back on itself, a gentle trick of distance and time. You are not trapped but carried, rocked by the truth that the universe needs no wall to keep you safe within its endless arms. You think of explorers from long ago who once feared sailing too far would bring them to a cliff where ocean tumbled into nothing. Instead, they found new shores, new currents, new ways to understand the roundness that held them. In the same way, you now sail the deep waters of your mind, finding no cliff at the sky's far edge, only a smooth horizon that bends with your longing. It soothes you to know that infinity is not a sharp thing, but a soft one. It does not push or press, it simply unfolds, over and over, like a quilt that grows each time you dream beneath it. You breathe this thought in and let it settle. In your bones, the universe does not end where your imagination grows thin. It keeps going, patient and kind, giving you more room to wander, more sky to drift through each time you close your eyes. Perhaps someday, new minds will find new clues, maps made of dark matter's hidden threads, pathways marked by the drift of galaxies, gentle signatures of a shape that has always held you but waits for you to see it fully. Until then, you rest in this not knowing, your heartbeat curled gently inside the quilt of infinity. You drift deeper now, carried on the truth that you do not need a border to feel safe. You are wrapped in a vastness that folds you softly into itself, night after night, thought after thought. Each breath you take expands the space within you, echoing the quiet swelling of the cosmos outside. And somewhere in this softness, you sense that the edge you seek is not something you find, but something you release, an idea you let go of, so you can float freely in a universe that never stops making room for your wandering heart. You breathe out, feeling the endlessness fold around your thoughts like a blanket, warm and infinite, a soft reminder that your questions need no walls to rest against. They drift with you, gentle and endless, waiting for the next horizon to appear where you least expect it. You lie still, your breath a slow tide, as your thoughts drift to the quiet warmth that slips from a cooling cup. You remember the feeling of wrapping your hands around it, steam curling into the air, soft threads of heat unraveling into the larger room. You watch this warmth fade in your mind, knowing it never truly disappears. It only spreads, finding new corners to settle, thinning until it can no longer return to your waiting palms. This is entropy, the slow, patient drift toward disorder. The universe's quiet promise that heat scatters, patterns blur, and all things settle into softer, simpler states. You feel no fear in this. Instead, there is a hush, a gentle understanding that this drifting is not a thief, but a gardener, planting seeds of change in places you cannot always see. You sense it in your own heartbeat. A tiny furnace burning warm inside your chest. Each cell in your body hums with energy, using it, releasing it, trading heat for motion and motion for life. Your body is a small rebellion against the drift, holding pockets of warmth close, arranging molecules in careful ways that allow you to breathe, to think, to wonder what it all means. Entropy does not rush. It drifts like snow falling on a quiet field, softening sharp edges, smoothing patterns into something wider, something easier to hold. In the vast halls of the universe, stars shine because they burn their fuel into chaos, releasing heat that drifts outward in all directions. When their fuel is gone, they cool, collapsing or fading, adding their spent warmth to the dark ocean of space that stretches endlessly away. You imagine galaxies as islands of temporary order, bright spirals carved into the fabric of expanding emptiness. Within them, stars gather gas and dust, spinning planets into being, weaving the heavy elements needed for life. But always, this building has a cost. Energy spreads, heat leaks away. The neat patterns loosen like threads slipping from an old quilt. Yet from this drift, beauty blooms. You see it in the swirl of a hurricane, in the spiral arms of galaxies, in the flicker of flame on a matchstick. All these patterns are fleeting dances carved out of imbalance, moments when heat and motion gather into forms you can see, and hold and breathe. They rise, they shine, they soften, and still they drift back toward a wider, quieter state. Your mind drifts to the ocean. You think of warm currents mixing with cold, creating tides that stir plankton, that feed whales, that carve coasts and shape clouds. Entropy here is not an enemy, but a quiet composer, arranging warmth and chill into new songs that life can sing for a while. Even your own thoughts, the gentle electrical sparks in your brain, bloom against this drift, small lanterns glowing for a moment in the dark. You rest deeper in this thought, that life itself is a dance against forgetting. Your cells gather energy, build order, make shapes that hold for a time, a heartbeat, a breath, a memory of warmth. And always, the dance asks for balance. You take in food, sunlight, stories. You burn them for warmth, for motion, for thought. And then, like the cooling cup, you release that warmth back to the world, feeding the drift once more. You do not fear this surrender. You understand now that from this slow drift comes space for new patterns to rise. From the ashes of old stars, new stars ignite. From the warmth released by your resting body, the air stirs, the night shifts, the cycle continues. Entropy is not only loss, but promise that things will change, spread, blend, and make room for something new to flicker into being. You sense the dance in the falling leaves of autumn, in the slow crumble of mountains into dust. You feel it in your own aging bones, in the warmth of your skin pressing into cooler sheets. There is no cruelty here, only the quiet reminder that all things are part of a wider tide, a soft current pulling heat outward, smoothing sharp edges into gentle shapes. You wonder, for a moment, what the far future holds. Physicists imagine a time when all stars have burned away, when black holes slowly evaporate, when the universe drifts into a cold hush, where all warmth has spread so thin it cannot gather again. This is the heat death, not an ending in fire, but a gentle sigh where nothing more can be done, because there is no longer a gradient to climb, no imbalance to stir life's restless patterns. Yet even this distant vision feels soft in your mind tonight. It does not press urgency into your chest. Instead, it reminds you how precious it is that warmth still dances in your veins, that your breath still carries heat into the dark. You are a small oasis of order, brief but bright, holding back the drift with each heartbeat, each thought, each quiet dream. And in this balance, you see a simple truth. Order and chaos are not enemies, but partners. The drift feeds the bloom feeds the drift. You are shaped by both, held softly between what scatters and what gathers, what warms and what cools. You rest here, in this dance, unafraid of its gentle tug. You close your eyes and picture the warmth in your chest, spreading outward, slipping through the room like a gentle fog. It touches the walls, the floor, the night air beyond your window. It joins the drift that moves through forests and oceans and stars. And somewhere, from that drift, a new pattern waits to rise brief. Beautiful, fragile, held for a moment before the dance continues. You breathe slower now, aware of how entropy curls through the galaxies like a quiet breath, carrying the warmth of your heartbeat into the deep dark. And still, your body hums with life, a small defiance, a gentle bloom carved from the drift itself. You drift, trusting the balance you carry inside, the warmth that slips away, the order that holds you together, the soft promise that even as things scatter, something new waits to gather again and again, as long as the universe has room for patterns to rise. You lie very still now, your breath soft and shallow, drifting deeper than before. Beneath the hush of your heartbeat, you feel the fabric of everything loosen just enough to let you slip through. Down here, far below the steady worlds of stars and dust, you reach the restless place where the ordinary rules grow soft, where certainty unravels into a restless dream of chance. This is quantum foam, the shivering skin beneath reality's calm surface. You picture it like a pond in moonlight, rippling endlessly with tiny waves. Particles appear and vanish here, flickering like fireflies in a warm field, born from nothing only to dissolve again before you can catch their shape. They hum with possibility, with a freedom that larger things forget as they grow. You drift among these flickers. Each breath you take rustles through this hidden garden of maybes. Electrons hover here, refusing to settle, drifting in clouds instead of neat lines. Photons glide in and out, weaving soft threads of light too brief to hold. You see how each speck is both here and not here, both particle and wave, both question and answer that slipped through your waiting hands. You remember the double slit, the old experiment where light forgets whether it is a speck or a ripple. When no one looks, it drifts through both paths at once, an echo of pure possibility. But when watched, it chooses shyly, reluctantly, to become one thing or the other. You feel this tension beneath your ribs now, the knowing that your attention can shape the dream, but never fully pin it down. You wonder if your own thoughts dance like this, flickering into being and then dissolving as your mind shifts. Memories, ideas, dreams, they slip in and out of focus, small quantum whispers echoing the restless truth beneath your skin. You breathe into this thought and feel it nestle warmly in your chest. You drift deeper, feeling the hum of uncertainty as a gentle lullaby. You picture virtual particles appearing in pairs, borrowing energy for the briefest heartbeat before dissolving back into the quiet. Some of these ghostly pairs flirt at the edge of black holes, splitting at the event horizon, one particle swallowed forever, the other drifting free, carrying a sliver of the whole's secrets back into the universe. Even the void is never truly empty. It seethes with invisible dancers that keep the dark alive. You sense how this restless foam shapes everything you know. Atoms build from these flickers, bonds form from the delicate push and pull of probabilities. Solid things, your bones, your breath, your heartbeat rest on a foundation that is never still, a floor that vibrates with the possibility of being more or less than it seems. You are made of particles that refuse to hold still for any eye that tries to watch too closely. It comforts you to know that the world is not rigid, but alive with hidden motion. Nothing is truly frozen, not even the deepest vacuum between the stars. Here, even emptiness dreams, even silence hums. You are part of this secret music, your body a warm chord in a wider, restless song. You think of entanglement, the quiet bond that links particles, no matter how far they drift apart. You imagine two specks flickering into being, spinning together, for an instant, then drifting away into opposite corners of the universe. Still, they remain linked, like twin thoughts held in a single mind. What happens to one echoes in the other, faster than light, faster than any whisper carried on a breeze. You drift through this idea like a feather on a tide. You wonder if all things are linked this way, bound by hidden threads beneath the visible. Perhaps your own heartbeat hums in quiet sympathy with distant suns, each pulse a tiny reminder that the universe is not a collection of lonely pieces, but a net of shimmering connections to find, to see, dot, and hear. In this gentle dark, you let go of needing to see it all. You rest inside the unknowing, trusting that not every flicker must become fixed. You imagine that every choice you have ever made, every path you did not walk, every word you did not speak, blossoms somewhere in this quantum foam, each possibility, a ghost drifting in the folds of what might have been. You breathe in this infinite garden of maybes, feeling how wide your life could be if every branch were allowed to bloom at once. In the quantum hush, there is no single way forward. There are only ripples of chance, each step a dance with all the steps you did not take. The physicists call this uncertainty, but you feel it tonight as freedom, a soft permission to rest in the not knowing, to cradle possibility like a firefly in your cupped hands. You do not need to pin it down. You can watch it flicker and fade, a quiet reminder that certainty is only one of many ways to dream. You drift now on this thought that beneath the fabric of your sleeping world, reality wavers like candlelight, alive with questions that never quite settle. You rest your mind in this shimmer, trusting the quantum dance to hold you gently, to cradle you in the soft truth that even the smallest speck contains a universe of maybe. And as your breath grows slower, you feel your own edges loosen. You are particle and wave, dream and thought, drifting between all that could be and all that quietly waits in the dark. The foam hums around you, patient and endless, a secret. See where even emptiness flickers with restless life. You lie still tonight, your breath as soft as starlight, your thoughts reaching beyond the warmth of your bed into the hush between distant galaxies. Out there, where the night sky deepens into endless darkness, you sense a gentle force at work, a patient hand that nudges the universe wider with every moment you dream. This is dark energy, the quiet secret hidden in the vast spaces where nothing seems to dwell. You imagine it as a faint sigh woven through the fabric of reality, impossible to touch, impossible to see, yet stronger than any star's pull. It stretches the space between all things, gently persuading galaxies to drift away from one another. Like tiny lanterns set adrift on an ever-widening sea, you picture yourself floating between two distant galaxies. Their spiral arms spin slowly in the dark, drifting farther apart as you watch. There is no wind you can feel, no tide you can taste, yet the space itself swells beneath you like a breath that never quite ends. You rest your thoughts here, weightless in this hidden current, feeling how the universe grows not into something, but from itself, each moment creating more room to hold your wondering heart. Long ago, people believed the universe might pull back inward someday, that gravity would gather everything close again, stars, dust, time itself folding like a blanket. After a long night, but when eyes turned outward with clearer lenses, astronomers saw something unexpected. The galaxies were not slowing down. They were drifting faster apart, as though an unseen hand pressed softly on their backs, urging them to slip away into the quiet. No one sees dark energy directly. No telescope can catch it like a comet's tail or measure it like a star's glow. Instead, it reveals itself through motion, through the subtle ways galaxies obey this whisper instead of gravity's tug alone. It is a shadow cast by the widening fabric of space, a gentle hush that refuses to be pinned down but shapes everything you see. You drift deeper now, feeling the soft truth that most of what holds the cosmos together and what pushes it apart is invisible. Dark matter weaves its silent nets, binding galaxies like beads on a string, while dark energy works in the spaces between, urging everything wider, softer, more distant. Between these quiet forces, the universe finds its shape, a balance of gathering and scattering that your breath echoes each time you inhale and let go. You think of the night sky, the way it appears so still when you look up from your window, or a dark field. You see stars frozen in place, but behind their ancient light, everything is drifting outward, stretching the fabric that holds you. Each time you exhale, the universe has grown a little more, so small a stretch that you cannot feel it in your bones, yet vast when measured across millions of light years. You imagine the spaces between galaxies as a black ocean, wide and unbroken, yet full of the quiet hum of dark energy. It is not emptiness, but a restless sea that makes space itself swell like a soft tide beneath the moon's pull. There is no edge to this sea, no wall where the waves break. The galaxies drift like tiny boats, each carrying stars, planets, dreams, each moving away from the others with gentle certainty. In this drifting, you feel no fear. There is only the hush of an ancient breath, the promise that space is never still, never finished. Some call it a cosmic constant, others a vacuum. Energy labels that try to catch a truth too wide for words alone. You feel it tonight as a soft push on your back, urging you forward into your next thought, your next dream, your next small becoming. Scientists wonder what dark energy truly is. Is it woven into the vacuum itself, a property of emptiness that cannot help but expand? Or is it something deeper, a hint that the universe holds more secrets than equations can yet reveal? They measure, they watch the stars drift, they test new ideas, but always the whisper remains invisible, unstoppable, gently scattering all things into the quiet. You let this mystery cradle you now, a secret you do not need to solve to feel safe. You understand that your own life mirrors this slow expansion. Each breath you take, each thought you release, creates more space inside you for wonder to bloom. You drift on this tide of invisible force, your body a small galaxy of cells, and warmth your mind wide enough to hold both the known and the unseen. Perhaps one night, far in the future, when the galaxies have slipped so far apart that their light can no longer cross the ever-growing sea, someone will still wonder about the whisper that set them drifting. They will look into the darkness, listening for an echo of your thoughts tonight, a quiet knowing that the universe is not frozen but forever opening, forever unfolding new rooms to hold its secrets. You sense how this gentle drift connects to everything you have ever loved, the warmth that slips from your skin into the air, the words you release into silence, the way your heartbeat feels like a small star burning in your chest. All things expand in their own soft way, breath by breath, thought by thought, and so you lie here, weightless on this tide of unseen force. You are part of the drift, part of the hush that spreads stars apart. Your thoughts slip gently between galaxies, riding the widening spaces that dark energy shapes beneath your closed eyelids. There is no urgency here, no rush to reach an edge that does not exist. Only the quiet promise that there will always be more room for your questions, your dreams, your soft drifting wonder. You breathe out now, feeling how even your exhale widens the space around you, your warmth slipping outward to join the endless hush. You rest inside this knowing. The universe expands not just outward but inward too, filling the spaces within you where new thoughts wait to bloom. And as you drift, you wonder if this patient widening might someday lead you to stranger secrets, still hidden behind the quiet truths that twist and ripple the fabric of everything in ways your dreaming mind can only begin to touch. You drift now into a hush that wraps the entire sky. Close your eyes and you can almost feel it, a soft warmth that lingers everywhere, behind every star, beyond every dark stretch of night. This is no ordinary glow. It is the faint echo of a moment when the universe was new, when everything you know was packed into a fire, so bright it outshone every star yet to be born. You listen for it now, the cosmic microwave background, a lullaby of old light that has drifted for nearly 14 billion years. When the universe was young, it was a brilliancy of fire, so dense and hot that light could not travel freely. It bounced from particle to particle, trapped like sunlight in a thick fog. Then, in a quiet moment called recombination, the fog thinned. Atoms found each other and held on tight, and suddenly, light was free to roam. You drift alongside this ancient light, moving outward in every direction at the speed of its own freedom. For eons, it has journeyed far beyond its birthplace, stretched, thin by the universe's endless expansion. What began as blazing heat is now a whisper of warmth, cooled to a soft hum in the microwave part of the spectrum. Still, it fills every corner of space, a reminder of the fire that once was everything. You imagine it like a soft, invisible blanket. No matter where you stand, this glow wraps around you. It glides past the tallest mountains, drifts through deep oceans, kisses your skin without you ever feeling its touch. It carries secrets of the beginning, tiny fluctuations frozen into its glow, seeds that would grow into galaxies, stars, planets, and the very ground beneath your feet. Scientists first heard this echo by accident, a faint hiss on an old radio antenna, like static that would not fade. To astronomers, puzzled by the noise, searched for answers, cleaning pigeons from the dish, checking every wire. Only later did they learn they were listening to the birth cry of the cosmos, still singing softly through the night sky. You rest your mind in this hush. You picture the universe as a cradle, rocking this old light like a baby's breath. Steady, gentle, patient. You see how scientists map this faint glow, drawing a picture of the early universe as it flickered and hummed. In these tiny variations, they find the blueprint for everything you see today, the clusters of galaxies, the threads of dark matter, the quiet voids between. This ancient light does not shine like a star. It hums like a memory, filling the darkness with a gentle warmth only special eyes can see. Satellites drift above Earth, listening with instruments so sensitive they can catch this faint whisper from billions of years ago. From this, we know the universe's age, its shape, its gentle expansion into the vastness that surrounds you now. You drift deeper, floating backward through time in your mind. You watch the universe shrink, growing hotter and denser until the light you rest in becomes trapped again, a sea of glowing particles jostling for space. You sense the first moments when the laws of physics found their voice, when particles formed from pure energy, when matter and antimatter danced in a fleeting balance before tipping toward everything that would ever be. You breathe with this thought. The glow you feel is not just leftover heat, but a message. It tells you that even the emptiest space is never truly empty. It hums with memory. Each photon in this ancient sea has traveled an unbroken path since that first moment of freedom, weaving through time to reach your waiting mind tonight. You imagine holding one of these photons in your palm, a particle of light older than any star you can see. It slips through your fingers without resistance, carrying a story so vast that no single mind could hold it all. Yet in this simple warmth, you sense your own place in the story, made of the same particles, shaped by the same forces, cradled in the same expanding dark dot. You lie here, wrapped in a blanket of old light. You listen to its hush and remember that you are drifting through a universe that remembers its beginning. Long after your own breath quiets, this glow will drift on, a soft echo of a time when everything was fire and possibility. This ancient hum reminds you that change is constant, that the hottest blaze can become a gentle sigh, that what begins in noise can settle into a calm that cradles stars and sleepers alike. The cosmic microwave background is a lullaby older than Earth itself, singing you toward dreams that stretch as wide as the night sky. You drift here a little longer, breathing with the faint warmth of the universe's first light. It tells you that time moves forward but memory lingers, that every second carries a trace of the beginning, that the night is never truly dark, only gently lit by echoes of creation. You drift now into a thought so wide it softens the walls of your mind. Here, in the hush of your breath, you imagine other worlds drifting like bubbles beside your own, each one invisible to your waking eyes, yet folded so close they might brush your skin without a sound. This is the mirage of multiverses, a garden of endless rooms where every slip of possibility finds its own quiet bloom. You rest your thoughts on the idea that your universe is not the only one. For a moment, you become weightless in this wonder, a traveler drifting between shadows and echoes of worlds you will never see. Yet sense in the hush that presses against your ribs when you dream of what else might be. The thought begins in quantum whispers, in the way particles behave when no one is looking. You remember the stories, a tiny particle that spins left and right at the same time until you peek and find it leaning one way or the other. In that tiny choice, some imagine a split. The world divides softly, like a sheet of silk torn along. A seam, one half drifting with one answer, the other with another dot. Here, in this garden, every choice, every chance, might unfurl into its own new branch. You imagine yourself standing at a crossroads, one path to the left, one to the right. In your world, you step left. But somewhere, just beyond the veil of your senses, another you drifts right, each version unaware of the other, each as real as your own heartbeat now. You feel the soft hum of this idea that reality might be bigger than you can hold in your single pair of hands, that each moment is a door that could open in more than one way, each choice a seed that flowers in another hidden room. Some physicists call it the many worlds interpretation, a way of explaining the strange honesty of quantum things, particles, waves, probabilities, woven like tangled threads. You drift through these threads now. You see a forest of flickering paths, each possibility a narrow trail winding through tall trees of maybe and might be. You cannot walk them all, you cannot see them all, but you feel them pressing gently at the edges of your thoughts, reminding you that your single life is stitched into a quilt far wider than the patch of night sky above your bed, beyond the quantum garden. Some minds wonder if whole universes bloom with rules so different you would not know how to breathe within them. Places where gravity pulls harder or softer, where stars live fast and die young or never form at all. In this mirage, each universe is a bubble drifting on a vast sea of possibility, a cosmic foam of countless worlds forever out of reach, brushing against each other in silence. You drift deeper now, wondering what it means for you, here, lying still under your blanket of stars. If there are countless countless moments stitched differently by choice and chance, does that make this version less precious? Or does it make this breath, this heartbeat, even more sacred? A single note sung once in the chorus of all. That could be. You rest in this question, letting it warm your thoughts instead of weighing them down. You feel your body, real and soft against the sheets, an anchor to this particular world. You remember that the multiverse, if it exists, does not pull you away. It only reminds you that reality may be more generous, more mysterious than any single answer can explain. You drift along the edge of this mirage, brushing your fingertips across its soft, uncertain surface. Somewhere or another you may wonder about you, too, reaching gently through the hush, feeling the same small ache of curiosity, the same comfort in the thought that all versions of you are cradled by the same quiet fabric that holds the stars apart and stitches them together. You breathe out slowly. You do not need to see these other worlds to feel their hum. The thought alone is enough that your universe is not alone, that even your small life may echo in hidden rooms where every secret wish and silent decision grows its own garden of what if. You rest here now, in your own warm world, certain and uncertain all at once. You let the multiverses drift beyond your reach like lanterns floating across a dark pond, each one flickering softly with a life you do not need to live, because here you are, present and dreaming, exactly where you belong. In this mirage of endless possibility, you feel the universe open like a soft hand, inviting you to wonder, to drift, to trust the quiet shape of things unseen. You return, softly, to the shape of your own breath. The hush of your lungs reminds you that no matter how far your thoughts have drifted through wormholes, bending time, the gentle drift of dark energy, you always come home to the rise and fall inside your chest. You rest your hand on your ribs, feeling how your own body is stitched together by invisible threads, woven by chance and warmth and time. You open your eyes to the ground beneath you, the quiet floor or soft bed that holds your weight tonight. It feels solid, reassuring. A surface that will not vanish when you press your palms into it. But in the soft hush of your mind, you remember that this ground is not as solid as it seems. You know now that what you stand upon, what carries your footsteps each day, is mostly emptiness, a weave of atoms bound by tiny forces that your eyes can't see. A fabric so light and open that it holds the illusion of stone and wood and earth. You picture the weave now. Each atom a ghost of possibility, a nucleus hugged by a cloud of restless electrons, drifting in orbits that feel more like soft songs than spinning rocks. Between each part is a chasm so vast that if an atom were a marble, the next marble might lie far down the street. And yet, this emptiness weaves itself into something you can knock on, stand on, build your world upon. You breathe out, letting your mind drift deeper into this quiet trick. You realize that when you touch a table, or the ground, or your own skin, you are not truly pressing particles against particles. You are feeling the gentle pushback of electromagnetic forces, tiny invisible fields that refuse to let you slip through. It is not your hand that stops at the table's surface, but the soft dance of repelling charges that keeps your atoms from drifting into its weave. You smile in the dark at this thought, how what feels so solid is a chorus of forces agreeing to hold you up. The floor beneath you, the breath inside you, the heartbeat that drums like a quiet star, all of it, woven emptiness, made real by the laws of the small. You stand in your mind and walk through this invisible weave. Each step feels like a whisper through fields and forces. You imagine the ground not as a slab of unyielding stone, but as a vast lattice of space and charge, each footstep carried by the soft refusal of atoms to merge. You drift your awareness into your bones, feeling how they too are empty spaces filled with patterns, minerals wrapped in cells, cells drifting through fluid, all held together by instructions hidden in spirals of code too tiny to see. You rest in this thought, that you are not so different from the galaxies that drift apart, the stars that burn and scatter their warmth. Your body is a universe too, a quiet weave of emptiness and motion, small particles spinning and flickering in patterns that hold your shape, your thoughts, your warmth. You remember now how this weave hums with hidden energy, even at rest. Your atoms vibrate softly, each motion a tiny echo of the first warmth that bloomed when the universe was new. The same forces that shape distant galaxies hold your cells in place. The same fields that bind a star's heart whisper through your skin each time you touch the world. You breathe deeper, feeling your feet rooted on this ground that is not really solid but strong enough to cradle your weight. You understand that the solidity is not the truth, but the agreement. The quiet promise between your atoms and the world's atoms that they will not drift through each other tonight. You look around your quiet room, walls, ceiling, soft shadows, and see it all for what it is. A tapestry of fields, a dance of particles refusing to collapse. Even the air you breathe is a weave of molecules floating in spaces wider than you can imagine, and between them, always, the hush of quantum possibility, the soft shimmer that keeps reality alive, never fully settled, always waiting to flicker into something new. You step forward in your mind, walking through this gentle fabric. You feel how you are not separate from it but part of its pattern. The weave holds you, shapes you, breathes you, and yet it lets you move, lets you dream, lets you wonder how such emptiness can feel so full. You think of the stories you have carried through these nights, wormholes folding space like paper, time stretching near sleeping giants, quantum flickers beneath your skin, dark energy pushing galaxies apart. Each mystery has brought you closer to this truth, that reality's fabric is not tight and hard, but open and patient, stitched by forces that hold emptiness in place just long enough to let life bloom within it. You sit down, or lie back, or stand still, your choice, and feel how your own body gives warmth to this weave. Your breath carries heat away, a quiet drift that joins the entropy you once imagined slipping from a cooling cup. Even in stillness, you are part of the drift, a soft pulse in a fabric that wraps galaxies and atoms alike. You wonder what else hides within these threads. Are there new shapes waiting to bloom in the gaps? Extra dimensions curled too tight to see? Forces that bend this weave into knots you cannot yet untangle? You feel curiosity rise like a small flame, not burning but warming you against the night's hush, and you know that tomorrow, when you wake and place your feet on the floor, you will stand again on this illusion, this soft trick of empty space that feels so solid beneath your toes. You will walk through air woven of drifting molecules, speak words carried by vibrating waves, think thoughts flickering through the quiet spaces inside your mind. You smile into the dark, comforted by the simple truth that there is always more emptiness to explore, always more softness hidden beneath the surface. The weave holds you gently, never finished, never rigid, a fabric that invites you to wander through its secret folds, step by quiet step, breath by quiet breath. And you rest now, your heartbeat an echo of the universe's gentle hum, your body a pattern of warmth cradled by emptiness, your mind drifting through the soft truth that what feels so solid is only possibility held together by the agreement that you belong here.